Dear students, again we have to see some basic concepts in the statistical inference. The first one is hypothesis. Hypothesis is nothing but a statement about population parameter. For example, the population mean mu. Usually the population mean is denoted by the symbol mu. Suppose I am making one statement about this population mean, that is, say this value is nothing but 100. So this is nothing but hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement about the population parameter or about the population. It may be anything. Null hypothesis is null hypothesis is we are testing this hypothesis. Testing the possible rejection of this hypothesis based on the sample values. Then the hypothesis is null hypothesis. Once again repeat, null hypothesis is we are testing the possible rejection of this hypothesis under the assumption that it is true based on the sample values. So usually the null hypothesis is denoted by the symbol H naught. In the null hypothesis, always we accept the hypothesis. We assumed that the hypothesis is true. So H naught mu equal to 100. We accept this. We assumed that this is true. Under this assumption, we are going to test this hypothesis based on the sample observations. This hypothesis is called null hypothesis. It is always shows the equality symbol. Then alternative hypothesis. This is a complementary statement to the null hypothesis. For example, the complementary to this hypothesis may be mu not equal to 100. The population mean is not equal to 100. This may be alternative hypothesis. Or mu less than 100. This may be alternative hypothesis. Or mu greater than 100. This may be a alternative hypothesis. So in the alternative hypothesis, there are three possible cases. When in the alternative hypothesis, not equal to symbol is involved, then the hypothesis is called two-tailed hypothesis. Suppose in the alternative hypothesis, less than symbol or greater than symbol involved, then the hypothesis is called one-tailed hypothesis. One-tailed hypothesis. Particularly, this is left-tailed hypothesis, this is right-tailed hypothesis. So this is another concept. Then testing of hypothesis. So what I said, we are testing the hypothesis under the assumption that it is true based on the sample observations. So to test this hypothesis, we must construct one test statistic. For example, for large sample, Z equal to T minus expected value of T divided by standard error of T. So this is the test statistic for testing the hypothesis in the case of large sample. So usually large sample which follows normal 0, 1, normal distribution with mean 0, variance 1. This test statistic follows normal distribution with mean 0, variance 1. So to test this hypothesis, instead of T is a statistic. So the corresponding statistic is x bar minus expected value of x bar divided by standard error of x bar. So which is equal to x bar, expected value of x bar is nothing but mu, population mean, divided by standard error of x bar is nothing but sigma by root n, which follows normal 0, 1. So this is the test statistic for testing the hypothesis population mean mu. Similarly, we can construct several statistics. So this is the area in the testing hypothesis. So this standard error plays vital role in framing the test statistic. So already I have given one example. In that, standard error plays the vital role. Similarly, we have constructed several statistics. In all the statistics, standard error plays the vital role. And also, the standard error is involved in framing the confidence interval. Framing the confidence interval. For example, t plus or minus z alpha into standard error of t in the case of large sample. For example, the statistic is maybe x bar plus or minus z alpha into standard error of x bar. So this is confidence interval for the population mean mu. Confidence interval is nothing but probability of the population mean value lies in between the two numbers that can be obtained by this formula. So x bar plus or minus z alpha into sigma by root n. So if we know the standard deviation of the population sample size, then the sample statistic x bar we can find in what range the population mu lies, that we can obtain using the standard error. Then in the testing hypothesis, it is majorly used for two cases. One is the difference between sample statistic and population parameter. For example, we can test the significant difference between sample mean and x bar. This can be tested. Another example is the difference between two sample statistics. The significant difference between two sample statistics. So the testing hypothesis, majorly we use two types. One is what is the significant difference between sample statistic and population parameter, that can be tested. Then another is the difference between two sample statistics can be tested based on the test statistic. So in the test statistic, the standard error plays the vital role. Okay. So whatever I have said so far, which are all the basic concepts involved in the inference. So now we have to see the sampling distribution. So already I told you the sampling distribution is nothing but from the population, if we draw the sample size n, we can draw NCN possible sample. NCN possible sample. For each sample, we can find one statistic. If we collect all the possible statistic, it frames one frequency distribution. That frequency distribution is nothing but sampling distribution. So for several statistics, there are several sampling distribution. So here we are going to see the statistic student T. So this statistic is mainly based on x bar and S, sample standard deviation. So this statistic follows which distribution? So this statistic follows student T distribution. So this is what we are going to derive here. So first, let us take x1, x2, etc. xn sample observation from the normal population with the mean mu variance sigma square. So there is one population. That population is normal with the mean mu variance sigma square. From such type of population, we draw n sample. That n samples are denoted as x1, x2, etc. xn. So based on the sample observation, we find sample mean x bar, summation xi by n. Sample variance s square, summation x minus x bar whole square divided by n. This is also sample variance. This is in the division, it is n minus 1. So this is biased to population variance sigma square. This is unbiased to population variance sigma square. That is the difference. So the capital S square may be equal to small n into small s square divided by n minus 1, because when you multiply these two, which gives this value. So instead of this, we put n into s square. So capital S square equal to this. Now we construct this statistic. T equal to x bar minus mu divided by s by root n. This is one statistic. So our objective is this statistics follows which probability distribution. That is our objective. So I take square both these sides. T square equal to x bar minus mu whole square divided by s square by n. I take the n to the numerator. So T square equal to n into x bar minus mu square divided by, instead of s square, I substitute this n into small square divided by n minus 1. Now in both the sides I divide n minus 1. So T square by n minus 1 equal to x bar minus mu whole square divided by s square. This n will be cancelled. So T square by n minus 1, which is equal to x bar minus mu whole square. I multiply sigma square by n and divide sigma square by n. So which gives this. Then I x bar minus mu divided by sigma by n. I take it as I write it in the form of one single square. So x bar minus mu divided by sigma by root n whole square. So this is nothing but 1 divided by, this will be in the denominator, in the numerator. This is in the denominator side, reciprocal. This can be written as in the reciprocal form, 1 divided by n into s square by sigma square. If you take this, sigma square will be the numerator side, n will be here denominator. Again this will give this form. So this can be written in this form. Now x bar minus mu divided by sigma by root n whole divided by, I write here n into s square divided by sigma square. So this is the value we obtained for t square by n minus 1. So now sample observations are drawn from normal population. Therefore x bar sample mean follows normal with mean mu variance sigma square by n. This is one basic theorem. So when sample observations are drawn from normal with mean mu variance sigma square, the sample mean construct from the sample observation which follows same normal population with mean mu variance sigma square by n. So now x bar minus mu divided by sigma by root n, which follows normal 0, 1. This is nothing but standard normal variate for x bar. So which follows normal 0, 1. This is very basic result. Now if you square this, which will be a chi-square distribution with 1 degrees of freedom. This is one theorem. So when we square the standard normal variate, it will be a chi-square variate with 1 degrees of freedom. Okay. Then n into s square by sigma square follows chi-square distribution with n minus 1 degrees of freedom. This is one theorem. So t square by n minus 1 is the ratio of two chi-square distribution with degrees of freedom 1 and n minus 1 respectively. So the ratio of two chi-square distribution is beta 2 distribution. Ratio of two chi-square is beta 2 with the parameter 1 by 2, n minus 1 by 2. So when you write this probability function based on beta 2, so differential probability function of t, which is equal to 1 by beta of 1 by 2, n minus 1 by 2 into t square by n minus 1 power 1 by 2 minus 1 divided by 1 plus t square by n minus 1 power n by 2 into differential function of t square by n minus 1. The reason is, if x follows beta 2 distribution with the parameter 1 by 2, n minus 1 by 2, then the probability function is, which is equal to 1 divided by beta of 1 by 2, n minus 1 by 2 into x power 1 by 2 minus 1 divided by 1 plus x power, you add these two, so n by 2. This is probability function for beta 2 distribution. In the same way we apply here for this random variable. instead of x there is t square by n minus 1. So we get this. Just you simplify this one. T square by n minus 1 is nothing but power, that is in power minus 1 by 2. So it will be in the denominator. So again I write the same. 1 divided by probability of beta of 1 divided by beta of 1 by 2 comma n minus 1 by 2. T square by n minus 1 power minus of 1 plus t square by n minus 1 power n by 2. This is a range of t square. So here the variable is t square. The range of t square is 0 less than or equal to t square less than infinity. Then differentiate this one, 2 into t dt divided by n minus 1. So this will be in the denominator. So in the next step we can cancel this t and this t. This is root n minus 1 in the denominator. This n minus 1 and root n minus 1 will be cancelled. So this will be root 1 by root n minus 1 beta of 1 by 2 comma n minus 1 by 2 into 1 divided by 1 plus t square by n minus 1 power n by 2 into 2 dt. So after simplify this one, you will get this expression, because this t and this t will be cancelled. This root n minus 1, this n minus 1 will be cancelled. The remaining term is root n minus 1. Remains are same. So when t square is lies between 0 to infinity, t lies between minus infinity to plus infinity. So if you put v equal to n minus 1, this will be 1 by root v beta of 1 by 2 comma v by 2 1 divided by 1 plus t square by v power v plus 1 by 2. So this is probability function of t square by n minus 1, that is probability function of t. What is t here? T is nothing but the statistic. T is nothing but the statistic. X bar minus mu divided by s by root n. So this statistic follows this probability function. This statistic follows this probability function. So this is our objective. So we have derived the probability function for this statistic is nothing but this. So this is what student t distribution. So with this we conclude this session. In the coming sessions we must see the properties of student t distribution. Okay, thank you students.